Good afternoon and welcome back to Laurel Park. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday afternoon on Today at the Races. I'm Gabby Gaudette, joined by Keith Fustel. The day after a big day here of Maryland racing. Of course, we had 5 stakes races on tap yesterday, and we had some pretty nice performances. And Keith, excellent handle, all considering. We had a lot of rain in the area. We had to take some races off the turf, but we almost got to $4 million yesterday, so a big day here.
Yeah, a couple of races popped up over 600,000. That was huge, and all in all, a great job by everybody. A good card put on. I know we took a couple races off the turf, kind of precautionary measures. We're back on it this afternoon. Looking forward to those races, but yeah, a really good day, some nice performances, and look for some of these horses down the line.
And speaking of those performances, we'll take a look at the Weber City Miss. Of course, this was a win and you're in for the Black Eyed Susan. Look at the track conditions here. And Lights of Medina for trainer Todd Pletcher gets up just in the nick of time. We can see kind of the forward place horse in there just wavering a little bit. But getting up and giving Fergal Lynch actually a stakes triple yesterday.
Huge day for Fergal Lynch, and overcame some trouble with Ascend coming from the back of the pack, kind of lugged in a little bit at the 8th pole, steadied off the heels, and then recovered to just get up at the wire over that Michael Stidham horse, Synchrony. Kind of looking forward to that one. They pounded that horse down and sent you a text looking at the odds. Says, oh, geez, I did not think they were going to bet this horse that much off the fairgrounds race, but they did. A good effort by Synchrony. Even take a look at moving forward the Jenkins horse, top of mind, down the road. A good, useful prep. Kind of thought what would happen, get a little too far back, had a little bit too much to do, but was rolling pretty good late. So I'll keep tabs on top of mind.
And that was in the Henry S. Clark. We'll take a look at the Tessio. Again, the other win in you're in for Preakness Stakes. And we saw O Dionysus once again just get nailed at the finish line. And I think Fergal Lynch, I think O Dionysus might hate Fergal Lynch because I think he's nailed him at the wire every single time. He actually rode Irish War Cry when he beat him too. But getting up here, a perfect ride on Twisted Tom, getting the victory in the Tessio. But this horse is not Triple Crown nominated, so we don't really know if we'll see him back in the Preakness.
Yeah, you might see him at another stakes. I mean, what do we have, the Sir Barton still? Yeah, you might see him in that. You don't know. But, I thought O Dionysus, all in all, had a pretty good trip and kind of had the measure of Twisted Tom, who got engaged in an early duel, leaving the far turn. And now Twisted Tom, his, credit, just repelled the bid and kicked back away. I mean, he's a stayer, no doubt about it.
He is a stayer. I think he could definitely run all day, and maybe we'll see a little bit of an equipment change with O Dionysus moving forward, just because, it just doesn't look like he has that will to pass horses with the blinkers on. Sometimes when you take them off, they can see their competitor, and it gives them a little bit better of a finish there, but we'll see what happens. O Dionysus, though, I agree with you, had a good trip, just could not seal the deal yesterday, whereas Twisted Tom had a completely different trip yesterday, and he was the better of all. Seemed to really like the wet track yesterday. Now, we'll get to what's coming up in the near future. Triple Crown days here in the Silks Room at Laurel Park. Again, that's $15 for one day, $35 for all 3 days. You can get tickets at laurelpark.com or call that number down at the bottom of the screen. Black Eyed Susan Day and Preakness Day are quickly approaching. Again, Friday, May 19th at Pimlico Racecourse. Just a reminder that tickets are now on sale, as well as Preakness tickets. They're also on sale, so really looking forward to that. We're getting closer and closer. You can purchase your tickets by calling that number or just going to Preakness.com. Speaking of Preakness, of course, one thing that attracts everybody is the Infield Fest. We've got Sam Hunt on the main stage and special guest Zed on the Decipher stage as well. We've got Good Charlotte, Low Cash, High Valley as well. So that's always fun. I haven't been to one of these, the Infield Fest. Unfortunately, I'm always working.
Right.
I kind of want to go in there. You like Zed.
We'll
what
take
was
a little break.
No,
that was my daughter. I ran it by her. I said, what'd you think, Morgan? I mean, give me a heads up on this act. And she says, no, she was fine with it. She approved it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. We like to get her stamp of approval. That's very good news.
She's hip.
Yes, more so than most of us. I don't know if we can call ourselves very hip, but so that's all coming up in the near future. And in the very near future, we've got some carryovers to talk about. We've got that rolling Super High Five that kicks off in today's opener. We've got a very potent 7-horse field here. So I would imagine this is going to be bet heavily. We always see this be the similar formula when we have a carryover in the Super High Five and a manageable field. It gets pounded, so we'll see. And in the Rainbow Six, we do have a carryover, a little bit of small carryover, but just over $1,800. I couldn't tackle the pick 6 today. I had to come up with a late pick 5 ticket, and you came up with a late pick 4.
That's
so
the tough part sometimes about our job. We're sitting there, we're looking, we want to give something out, and you're like, man, I don't know if I've got the confidence to really kind of give you this, give you that. Yeah, I'm going to take a shot with the late pick 4. I think there's value. It's a good little card, tough card all the way through. I think we're going to kind of dig out a couple nuggets for some good prices for this afternoon's racing action.
Track looks like it's still retaining a little bit of moisture. What are the track conditions today, Keith?
Yeah, muddy and sealed to start out. I think this thing, we've got a little bit of a breeze, but we might get to good by the end of the day. And a turf course, we're going to start it good. I thought it held up quite well, all things considered yesterday. It's really filling in nicely. Didn't really get any reports from the riders, but
it looked good.
Looking at it and watching the races, I didn't see a ton of divots. So I thought the course is going to be in really good shape here in the next week or so. It should be tip-top shape.
I agree. It probably needed a little bit of rain, too. We haven't, for April, at least in the first half of April, we haven't had that much rain. So it looked like it really held pretty nicely there. And, well, let's get to today. The birds are chirping. The sun is coming out. We start off with that Super High Five carryover with just shy of $8,500. So really looking forward to that. Early money does go to the 7. Goodbye, see you later. And, Keith, if you were playing the Super High Five, who do you think you would have maybe most confidence with Keen in that top spot there?
That's tough.
Tough question.
Yeah, I would probably, if you held a gun to my head, key the 3. I'm going to take a shot with the 1 as a mild upsetter, dropping down a kind of a final desperation move for Mike Trombetta with troubled waters. But I think the 3-horse Jose Seaview just has to maintain form, drops down a little bit, second off the claim for Kieran. And I think there's a little bit more speed in this race than you might think that might offer a little pressure to the 7. Goodbye, see you later.
I agree, but there have been moments in the past where he has stalked, you know, effectively. If you go back to his Penn National try against a other then company, he did manage to rate a little bit, and he was just much the best in that field. So he's a horse that's always kind of forwardly placed on the engine. He does get an outside post position. Maybe he'll get that pressing position. Right. He's trying to get that elusive victory here at Laurel. He's 0 for 7, but now second time out for Claudio Gonzalez. I liked him best considering his speed in the outside post position, but you do make a good point. I think Last Confession will probably be pretty close to the pace. What do you think Troubled Waters will do now stretching out to the mile?
Well, as you see, the short comment last time in the daily race form, broke in the air, lost all chance. Going back and looking at his races going long, he was able to kind of get in a stalking position and was fairly effective doing that against much tougher company. This is kind of a guess. He's been even for the most part in his sprint. So I think if he comes out of the gate well, Forrest gets him maybe within 3 or 4 lengths around the turn. I think he can make a steady progression. Mike Trombetta, 2 for 6 with dirt routers at Laurel over the last couple of years, less than 10,000. Not a lot of sample there, but 5 for 6 in the money with a good positive ROI, close to $5.
And Troubled Waters has always been a pretty quirky horse, but Forrest Boy seems to get along with him extremely well. So we'll see if he can get that stalking trip from the rail post position. But Jose Seaview is one that figures to take some money. Looking at him, the mile, or looking at him first off the claim, obviously this is something that we see quite frequently. Kieran goes in on a horse, claims him for 10,000, waits 30 days, drops him in for the 7,500. Did not win that. He usually does. It's a very successful move for the barn. So is this kind of a give-up brace, would you say?
I kind of think. I think they just didn't get quite what they bargained for when they claimed him, and he's going to have to run pretty close to that last race. If he regresses a little bit off of that, trouble's in store for Jose Seaview. But I think he's going to, I think he's got one left in him to put him right into the mix when they're at the wire.
Well, that's today's opener. Once again, a Super High Five carryover just shy of $8,500, and that also, of course, kicks off that early pick 5 sequence. We'll turn the page to the second. We've got a 5,000 non-winners of 2 lifetime claiming condition. We've got 5.5 furlongs onto the main track, and this is another race that I thought perhaps the pace scenario could be a little bit tricky. We've got the Iron Bank to the outside. Sometimes we don't really know which 50s music we're going to see, whether he'll be close or off the pace, credit ready. He could have a little bit of cheap speed in there too. So I went with a big class dropper here in the 7 Sunrise Sunset. I like the class drop, and I like the turn back and distance. He just looks like a better horse that can effectively rate and maybe close into that suspect speed in front of him. So I know you don't like him, but I thought that he was perhaps one to be respected on the drop.
I think he's an all or nothing type.
He is.
I think he either
Absolutely.
wins it or runs out. And the return trial off that length layoff was okay. He was down inside against the grain of the racetrack against a Slick William, a little bit of horses, Gavin Street Sense. I'm going to toss him, take the shot. I like 50s Music or Jet Home. One of these two will be my key in race number 2. 50s Music, just way the barn's going. All these horses seem like they're flourishing at Laurel Park. And that last race at Gulfstream gives me a little indicator that he may not necessarily need to lead. A good race at 7 furlongs. Like a guy, a little early trouble. Closed up late, but he's shown glimpses of really good speed as well. So I don't think, I think it's up to the jock.
Where do you want to see
of a
him?
mile. I think I'd almost prefer him just kind of prompting. I don't think he needs to be used early, but that'll be up to the jock. If he clears, I think he might be gone, but he's got some speed to the inside. But I like this move. The 5th place finisher out of that last race, a little bit of better race at Gulfstream, came back to run a decent number, 62 next time out. I think 50's Music going with the barn. We've got video, I think, on Jet Home, though. I think he's going to be real tough. Maintain form on the raise after the maiden score for 8,000, jumped up to the 16-2 in life, and really didn't run too badly. As you see, he's caught wide around the turn, giving some chase. Is Jet Home? I'm sorry, we're going to show the video from the maiden race. That's right, where he showed speed, Gabby, and he kind of eased back off of the top pair, but showed another gear. Whereas prior races before the layoff, he kind of was up with the pace and kind of faded. A new dimension. Maybe they worked on a few things during the layoff, and this horse circled up and really ran a nice race, circling 4 wide, going off to win by 7. Final time 105 and 4. Pretty comparable to the rest of these, even better than most of these. So I think they said, okay, we're going to jump him off, try to save him off of that race, protect him a little bit. Don't like the little lug in on the left lead, but still, for this company, this is the right move right back for the nickel. Good attack mode.
I absolutely agree with you. My only question was how has he improved in his past 2 starts, and is it legitimate? Is he going to tail off eventually?
Right.
So because he was running just very awkward races in the past. I know they were against tougher company, but they laid him in. Maybe all he needed to do was to wake up against the lowest level maiden claiming company you could possibly imagine there, because he did come back to run an okay race against winners for the first time, and now dropping to a better level. I was going back and forth between him just because I don't know if he's quite trustworthy. So we'll see. But I did think that there might be some suspect speed in there. I thought Jet Home was definitely one to use. I do agree with 50's Music as well, one to use.
All right.
We'll turn the page to the 3rd race on the card. We head out to the All Along, 5.5 furlongs on the turf for this open $15,000 condition. Make the rider Xavier Perez on the 1, put it back Jack. Now we've got, I thought this too was a good race in that you could maybe find some value. However, I did land on the 11. I stand alone with some of the scratches, though, Keith. He now draws post 8, so it's really not that big of an issue. And he's just a very versatile horse. I thought that in the past 2 starts, he's kept form sprinting on the dirt. He's capable of running legitimate races, going long on the turf, and even sprinting on the turf. I went back to the race that he ran on the 23rd of July last season when he was going 5.5 furlongs, and I thought it was a very good race. He drew the rail post position. He showed the willingness to rate from off of it. He just angled out under Daniel Centeno and just kind of drew away from the rest of the field. Good acceleration, and I'm hoping we see that again today.
His return on the main track, his 2 tries, he got the win on March 11th and came back, had trouble again. So both those trips, I don't think he's going to have any trouble today. I mean, he looks like he's just going to be perched outside the speed. And that's going to be the real main question. How does this race go? Make My Saturdays awfully sharp. You see some bullet works at Pimlico with a barn that's going well. He gets McCarthy. He's going to be on the engine from the inside. I stand alone. I think we'll take the measure of him. The question I had with Make My Saturday, I probably would have put him on top. He's just struggled at Laurel. He just hasn't run well over this turf course, but he looks to be ready to roll right now for life. But, if Put Your Seatbelts running, I've got a bet put your seatbelt on. This horse owes me
You love-
absolutely no
you
money.
love put your seatbelt on.
He won off of this kind of layoff last year. He came in for 6,500, beat Classic Wildcat. That was a tougher $7,500 race. Then increased the numbers as he went along. Tailed off a little bit at the end, but we're going to see.
He runs well fresh.
Yeah, he runs well fresh.
Yeah.
We've got K. Marie Crydell. She's coming back, and what a good spot. I think this horse can get it done. I don't think there's enough speed where he's going to find himself too far off the pace. He can get a good stalking position, but I do believe the horse to beat is the 11. I stand alone.
Yes,
no
I do agree. I actually used a long shot in here. I keep telling myself I hate turnbacks on the turf, and I keep picking horses that are turning back on the turf. I don't know why. The 5 Dr. Goldfarb was one that I had some interest in, the old 8-year-old trying to get his 6th career victory. But now he transitions here. He's shown speed going 2 turns on the turf in the past, and it just doesn't look like he can sustain that speed. He hasn't gone a 1-turn distance on the turf for a very, very long time. So I'm wondering what he's capable of doing. I think he's got some natural speed, so he's not going to be too far off the pace on the turn back. My eyes kept going back to him. Donovan Houghton, definitely capable of upsetting. So I'm going to be using him in the mix there.
Yeah, you're going to get a price. This horse never really gets bet. Comes in fresh. And you see the move at 7.5. Now it's still a 2-turn race at Gulfstream, but did make a nice little middle move. So those tactics could work today, no doubt about it.
Even Political Farce, a horse that you used on the bottom half. He's tactical. He's a proven turf sprinter. Wayne Potts has sometimes a little bit of difficulty winning these types of races. So here at Laurel, only 2 for 29 with his turf sprinter. So that's where I thought that you could get some value or at least find other horses to throw in at big prices because the percentage even in the money is only 28%. So put your seatbelt on, I thought was a legitimate contender. My long shot, Dr. Goldfarb, and I Stand Alone could be just simply the horse to beat. We'll turn the page to race 4. This is a state bred allowance going the 1-turn mile onto the main track. And Keith, I really do think that with the scratch of the 6 Include Gold, who I thought was a big scratch in here, the road really must have to go through the 5 Bring Me Answers, and if not her, then probably Hell of a Fire in here too.
Yeah, Hell of a Fire ran pretty good off the layoff, and this is a good barn to bet. I mean, the good return on investment with Tim Woolley. Got just what she needed, a little slower pace, and just couldn't quite kick on. She's going to need things maybe a little hot and heavier up front with the 3 Participate going. I think Summer Something off the sprint last time is going to go second off the layoff, and ran pretty good off the sprint. Nice little moving numbers from her 2-year-old. She's now at 3. But Bring Me Answers, Kieran, man, what a good job he's done with her right off the claim. Bang up win by 11 last time out. A tough loss to Barino, who's capable even in open to lay a mare allowance. This is a state bred. I think Bring Me Answers will get it done at a short price.
I wanted to. I originally picked Include Gold on top, and I didn't want to. I kind of defaulted into Hell of a Fire, but I agree with you. I think that with this shortened field, it's going to be hard for her to overcome. I thought that Bring Me Answers just has a little bit more natural speed, and she's probably the horse to beat. The way that she came back after she was passed coming out of the stretch last time out, visually super impressive. But Hell of a Fire could definitely improve second off the layoff. Her leg, it looked like her legs got a little bit wobbly underneath of her. She probably needed that. Now she's cutting back to a 1-turn distance. It can only help her.
Yeah, and she made that move into a slower pace, and she had to be used a lot more to kind of go up. And recently, we kind of had something left. I can see a nice improvement. Wouldn't surprise me if the 4, turn the tables. Summer Something for Boniface. You look at the breeding, is a half to a 6 and 7-time dirt route winner. So this horse is very capable of stretching out. I'm just a little leery right off that 1 sprint. We'll see.
All right. Well, we're going to step aside and take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we'll take a look at the 20-cent Rainbow 6, late pick 5, late pick 4. All of those wagers coming up next.
The best bets at Laurel Park are the Pick 5s, and we have 2 of them. The early Pick 5 starts in race 1 and is a mandatory payout. The late Pick 5 is the last 5 races of the day and has carryover potential. Both Pick 5s at Laurel Park have an industry-low 12% takeout. The Pick 5s at Laurel Park, your best bet.
Welcome back to Today at the Races. Gabby Audette alongside Keith Fustel. Now, race 5, taking a look at this race. This does, of course, kick off that 20-cent Rainbow Six. And we have a nice little carryover in there, just over $1,800. So I tried to take a stab at the Rainbow Six, and I don't ever like to give out tickets that are really much greater than $50, just because, you know, a lot of the times we're playing on a lower bankroll here, and I couldn't get my ticket to a reasonable price. So instead, I'm going to take a stab at the late pick 5. So we'll take a look at that. But I thought you had to potentially use a couple horses in here. Copper Wired is squarely the horse to beat, but he's a horse that I've been following for so long. He's run some bang-up races against good horses at the maiden special weight level, even high upper level maiden claiming level, and he just doesn't seem to want to win.
Yeah, well, he be kind of like Acoustic yesterday. He had those big numbers, gaudy numbers, and he finally got it done. Maybe 0 for 18, the 19th try. He's come back, run a couple good sprints on the dirt, going 7 furlongs. His turf, he's run some bang-up numbers, as you said. Any kind of number he runs back to is almost like an omni-fig compared to the rest of the field. I just can't take him. It's what's going to be a shorter price.
He runs to his competition.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got blow up written on the top of my little sheet here, my proof for this race. I think this is definitely a good price race. How about the two-party reach? And I think this horse really could be the speed of the speed, along with the outside horse. I think Love You Much could be tough for Ferris Allen. But party reach, and look at the breeding. You know, there's not a ton there, but did have a half-brother that ran up in the lower 80s on the turf. I think an aggressive move here, a little protect move for the 20. I don't see a ton of quality speed. I think if this horse takes the dirt for him to the turf, he could be gone.
We could. You see Pure Prize on the top side, some turf influence there. On the bottom side, though, the foals were a combined 0 for 9 on the turf. So that was the one thing that swayed me. But look, you're talking about a horse that'll be a good price, has a speed, and has been in relatively good form on the dirt. So I like the fact that you took a little bit of a stance against the favorite in here. I did wind up on the 5. He's One Wild Dude for Rick Silliman. I like the cutback in distance for this horse because it just looks like if you go back to the November try, going 2 turns against maiden $16,000 company, is he one that's going to just get so far off the pace? Because sometimes he finds himself really far back going 2 turns. Sometimes he actually is capable of being in the first flight of horses.
Look at those races back at Belmont. He's up with the pace, 23-347. He's okay. Trevor will put him in a spot. I like to move with Trevor moving to this horse. This should be good. The 3-back try. Pearson Air took a lot of play the other day on a little jump up in class and showed good speed. I think he's one Wild Dude will make a solid run from off the pace in this race.
Okay, and the 6B back is won by Not for Love out of a Cozine mare, akin to a few nice dirt sprinters and one turf winner as well. This horse technically takes a drop in class from that maiden special weight level when last sprinting on the turf, so I gave that horse a little bit of a look. And you went to the 14, Love You Much for Ferris Allen, who doesn't draw in off the AEA. So I get confused with all these MTOs in here. But yes, you like this horse a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. But Not for Love out of a runaway groom mare should like the turf. You know, I'm going to just toss the debut at 2. That was a good field. Undulated, sleepless. Made a move into a 45 flat half. Yeah, clean break, good post position. I see improvement on the drop.
And that's why I said if you have an opinion in this, I do think that the crux of the pick 6 starts in this race. Because if you have an opinion and you like some prices and you think the favorite's vulnerable, this is where you're going to make your money in terms of the pick 6. I just didn't see it so clearly. So that's why I skipped out on it. But it's a very good sequence if you can hone in on a couple horses in the first leg of the pick 6. Now we get to the 6th race. This does kick off the 50-cent late pick 5 with that industry low takeout. We get to 6 furlongs on the main track for this maiden special weight. And I, too, thought that you wanted to have some coverage in this race. I had a tough time with this race, so I'm going to have coverage. My single comes later in the card. Going to be using 5 horses here, followed by 3, by 3, by 2. Future Show's going to be my single today, especially with some of those scratches. I think that horse is the one to beat, coming out of some really tough Gulfstream races. And then the 2-7. I could have even used one more in the nightcap, but we'll stick with $45 to start. And did you have an easier time with the 6 than I did?
No, tough little race. You've got Linda with a first, who's always going to garner attention. Working okay up in New York. Gets the Lasix on. Toby Girl. Which Toby Girl's going to show up? The one that showed up back in October at Keeneland, or the one that's been running, prior to the layoff The blinkers come off. She's working well, maybe indicating another return to form for Toby Girl. Speed down on the inside. I think she's a chance too. It's probably your most consistent horse. She'll look like she's going to run an honest race. She gets a little extra ground, a little firefighter. She closed in her. We saw her come back and win an allowance race. I'll go a little bit out of the box with the 9, include the best for Tommy Proctor. High percentage trainer. This horse got bet down at Tampa. It was an okay field there. She didn't really run. I went back and watched the rerun. I'm a little skeptical. Was taking a rating hold outside of horses around the turn, kept behind a horse into the stretch before angled out late, showed a little bit of late life, and the horses that have come out of the race have run okay. Now she's come north. She's working well at Fair Hill. I expect a little better efficacy. Looking to breed, there's not a whole lot there on the bottom side. Why the protect move on include the best? I think she'll definitely improve off of that Tampa race. Will it be enough? I don't know.
And as you said, she took money in her first start against Maiden Special Weight Company. And the odd thing about the field that she faced, Keith, that I found was the second place finisher, I believe, came back to just break her maiden at Mountaineer. So it wasn't that strong.
No.
But the bottom half of the field where she was actually came back to run much improved races. One of them actually coming out and to recently win Maiden Special Weight at Tampa, and another horse taking a little bit of a drop in class to the Maiden 40 level at Aqueduct to go on and win. So it has been a pretty productive race, and that's why I needed to use that horse in the pick 5. But the 4 Radiant Element, I don't know. There's something about this filly. I just really like her pedigree. She is by the factor. The mare, she never broke her maiden, but a lot of the time that we see, that I see brood mares, they never drop in class. You're thinking, all right, to break their maiden. You're like, all right, well, she must have a nice pedigree. Yes, she does. The mare is actually a half-sister to Indian Charlie.
Wow.
So there's a really nice pedigree on the bottom side that I did notice. And the factor, obviously, his progeny's been very precocious. They went in and bought this horse for $250,000 at the sale. So I was very enticed by this pedigree.
Nah, this horse definitely could be ready to roll early. No, the factors, they've been running well. This is a tough
It's
little
a tough race.
What's Linda's horse going to do? They're, the offspring just I think one sibling didn't do a whole lot if I'm not looking, or maybe one sib out of the 3 just did okay. So tough read on that horse.
Yeah, Alpha Kitten was a grade 2 winner, but on the synthetic somewhere. I can't remember, but. Big purchase price, $440,000 for this Kentucky bred, does show up here. That's always a question too. We have Donald Bard starting Miss Mischievous. This is the one horse that I thought was sneaky,
no doubt.
And I'm a little apprehensive leaving out of my pick 5.
Yeah, I don't think I'd leave this horse out. If you go ahead and pop this one back in.
Yeah.
Why Trevor? He just doesn't use Trevor a lot. It's been a while, but Donnie Barr over the last 5 years with first-time starters, he's got an ROI of over $4.
Yep.
Doesn't win at a high percentage, but when they strike, and this rider showing up, with Trevor showing up with a couple solid works.
He knows how to get one ready.
Yeah, I'm not gonna,
Stellar Win being one of them.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to let this horse beat me, no doubt.
All right, we'll turn the page here, and we'll get to the 7th race on today's card. This, of course, kicks off the final pick 4 of the afternoon. And, Keith, you took a stab at the late pick 4. Let's see how our tickets kind of compare.
See if they, kind of some way resembling each other. Too deep to get it started. Race 7 is kind of a tough race, but I think Charlie Bravo, Lacey Gaudet's horse, is going to be awfully tough. We're going to go 2 deep in there, 6 deep in race number 8. I don't know how, did you go pretty deep in race 8?
There we go.
Yeah, 6 deep.
I went 3 just
Okay.
because I went pretty deep in the first leg of the pick 5, so I couldn't afford to do that.
All right, race 9, 3 deep with the 2, 3, and 9. Future show will be down off of that 9 to 2 morning line. We've got stretched out of some tough races at Gulfstream. I like her as my top selection. And 2 deep in race number 10 with the 7 and the 8, cooking up a storm, another one. Going to be down off of that line. Really kind of got back to form last time. I'm hoping a repeat performance for cooking up a storm. Like the 7 and the 8's my price shot in the 10th.
All right, we're kind of similar. I went 2-7 in the final leg. I used a couple of your horses in the Vic 8 or in the race 8. So we do start it off though with this particular event, and we go to the 5 Charlie Bravo. And I wanted to go back and show you the last time that this horse actually sprinted on the turf. This was here at Laurel. He drew post 9 of 9 that day, and that was coming off a long, lengthy layoff. This was against Maiden Special Weight Company. I thought that he rated very nicely. He showed a nice acceleration coming down the stretch. We see him right there and just really passing every horse towards his inside, making that a little bit of a grinding run, I would say, getting up just in the nick of time. But, Keith, since then, he's almost kind of lost his identity in that took him to the turf, then stretched him out on the turf, 2 turns. This horse, I just think, is a turf sprinter.
Is he confused? Have you talked to him lately? Is he
I
told
don't know.
Charlie? No, no.
Charlie,
Charlotte's
are you
Yeah, he
confused?
might just run this field into the ground when you're really looking. There's not
Mhm.
a lot of speed, and he carried his speed a long way against some horses that have gone on to do well at Gulfstream. On or just off of it for Charlie Bravo, I believe. I think this is the right move going back to the 5.5. I like this.
I agree. And the 10 split was a horse that I had some interest in. Last time he did sprint on the turf, he did get into some trouble, but he's capable of very good races against okay competition. And I even like the only issue with him is obviously we had a lot of rain in the area yesterday. I think he's better on a firmer course, but I do think that this is the right spot to come back to. And he's got a decent foundation coming back to the turf with two dirt sprint races underneath of him. You like him a little bit, but the 3 no-knock grade was when I didn't want to leave off the pick 5.
Yeah, no, not great. I do like in here with a barn. It can do okay with horses off of a layoff. They've done fine in the past. They don't run a whole lot of horses anymore, but no, not great. Look at the company last spring, March off of a layoff into March. Proud to say Tricky Line, Zapata, Tempt Me Twice, and Joseph, all right there with those horses. Those horses would be getting a lot of play in this particular race. No knock grade, somewhere from maybe mid-pack. I don't want them to see him too far back by the time they hit the top of the stretch.
That's the issue with him.
That's my issue with him.
Yeah, that's the only thing. He needs to get into a competitive position early. We'll get to the 8th race, Keith, and this is a $7,500 claiming event for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward, which have not won a race since October 23rd. We're going 6 furlongs onto the main track. And you actually, I believe, used a lot of horses here in your late pick 4 ticket, and it is kind of a curious race. I actually went with the 8 Io Ines in here just because I like the change of positions today in terms of her post position, because last time out she went against Better Way. Better Way got the better of her that day, but I thought her hand was a little bit forced on the rail. She looked kind of uncomfortable, too close to the pace. She looks more of a stalker to closer type of horse, and she was caught up in that early pace scenario. So now a better post and going against similar company in here, I thought she could turn the tables, and I just wanted a little bit of a price. But Keith, you do hope that Better Way can keep her momentum.
Yeah, I'm going to use Better Way. Her last 2 really look good. That last race, 11-1. I know the track was quick that day, but Phase the Nation went 10-3, only 2/5 off of that horse, so that's good enough. She beat Wildcat Gates, was able to kind of relax off of a pretty quick horse. That was Kieran's horse in very good form. Yeah, this is move up to 75 condition, just kind of a lateral move. But Claudio, right now, he tailed off just a touch. Got me a little worried. He's only like 17% the last 30 days, 40% in the money. I agree with I on this. I think this horse last time the hand was forced early. She just faded a little bit. Didn't really kind of quit. Was still trying along the rail. Gave up a little bit of ground. Like gets the right kind of rider to settle off the pace and make a decent run. Because there could be some other speed pressers. Maybe what if I was willing? That pace wasn't too demanding last time. I Am Superior 2 was another one that could move up, I believe, today. She's run some kind of races in and out. She can run a big one, run a bad one. She's, I think, poised to run a better race today, just off the stalking trip, just off of Better Way.
We could see that in even Flatter Secret with the rail post position. She definitely has an affinity for this course here, a 5-time winner out of 7 starts. So it is hard to leave her off the ticket. And she's versatile enough. But I actually like her going shorter distance. Some of her 7/8 races were very tough. And maybe 6 furlongs. Do you think it might be a touch too short, or do you think there's going to be a contended pace that she should be okay?
I think pace is going to be okay. Even Color Me Sexy showed some speed. The key is, once again, how far is she going to get shuffled back early? But she's got sharp moves at 7. It would not surprise me. This barn, you see the ROI plus 180 days. I know a smaller sample, close to $20. She's not going to be that kind of price. But a horse that's 5 for 7 at Laurel looks like she can do it at any distance.
Yeah, you probably want to use her there in those multi-race bets. We'll get to the 9th and not final, the first half of the late daily double here. We head out to the turf course, the Dahlia rail setting at 52 feet for this first level allowance. And we wanted to pull a replay of Future Show. This was going back to October of last year.
Yeah, against Cambodia. So we saw her run yesterday, and the Dahlia ran all right. It was caught wide and closed up late. We're going to pick up a Future Show in the Sagamore colors, kind of out there about 4 wide now, angling a little bit wider, turning from about 7 wide off of an okay pace. Kind of gets rolling pretty good. Then we're going to lose her here in the picture, but darts down towards the inside, leaving the 16th pole, and really kind of gets it going late against Cambodia. This is a nice run, sharp enough run, the final 16th of a mile. to just kind of close the gap, beating about 3 lengths there behind Cambodia. She's just hooked better, freshened up a little bit, went down the Gulfstream. Look at the company line, Somersault, who won the Grade 3 Oregon, has won, I believe, 3 straight. Last
She
time,
loves Gulfstream.
yeah, and hampered by those outside posts, I believe, with 10 hole both times. So the blinkers go on last time, they go on again today. A good sharp workout. Question is she going to get enough kind of flow up top? I think she can be in position even against this field. I don't think they're going to run away from her too much early.
And I think she's going to be closer to the
Yeah.
pace because of the post position that she has. And I know you can't put a lot of stock into a mile and an eighth, a mile and 3/16 at Gulfstream. Sometimes, the 7.5 and mile races really, really hurts a horse with outside post positions. But it hurt her because she had to be taken so far back to save ground into the first turn. And I don't think she's that slow. So I'm going to see, I'm hoping for improved speed from her. She comes out of company lines. They're very strong. And even if you go back to her last race, she was never given the whip coming down the stretch last time out. So it was kind of a curious ride there. That's where I have a lot of confidence in her today. So she's going to be my single in the pick 5. But you used coverage with 2 other horses. I would imagine one of them being your second selection, the 9 Standard Deal.
Standard Deal I'm going to use in here. I know, off since September. A little leery of that, but going for a barn that's doing well here. Works seem to be forward. I think they've kind of got this horse to relax. She's learned to relax a little bit. I think she's going to need that kind of trip. You look back, another one, the company lines, Sweet Story, 2 races back, has run well in 2 other than down at Tampa. So a little freshening. I think this horse is going to be all right. Maybe would have liked it at a mile, not a mile and a 16th, right back.
And you're talking about company lines. Well, Perdona, trained by Kelly Rubley now, definitely has hung her hat with the best, including Illuminant, who was a Grade 1 winner on the turf. That was when she was facing Maiden Special Weight Company quite some time ago, but that's the key. It was quite some time ago. She's coming off of a lengthy layoff, and she's got speed to bring to the table. And Kelly Rubley's horses have been running pretty well lately. Good rider today.
Yeah.
I just couldn't have a lot of confidence in a horse like this, considering the lengthy layoff.
Yeah, first look, you're like, oh, man, look at these buyers, 86.
Yeah.
The time off, the stretch back out to a mile and 16. The horse like Future Show just to her inside. It's going to, she's probably breathing down her neck when they turn for home. Yeah, she's going to be a shorter price. Looking back in line of these, you're going to see these horses probably in that 2-1, maybe 5-2 range, I think, when they get to the gate. So don't expect that 9-2 on Future Show today.
All right, we'll get to the 10th and final race. This is a $5,000 claiming event, 6 furlongs onto the main track. And we had a pair of scratches in here, but my top selection didn't change. I'm going to still stick with the 7, Cooking Up a Storm, coming fresh off of a victory and cutting back in distance, but this is a horse that's just very versatile, can really run and win. And I like the fact that he finally woke up last time out because he went through a little bit of a lull, and I think that's a good sign.
He went through a major lull. I was wondering what happened to the guy, if he's ever going to come back. But, yeah, visually, go back and watch the rerun. He just cruised up to the competition at the quarter pole and went ahead and went on by to win clear and held nicely against Mongolian King and Hunt in the holidays. I think there's a plethora of speed in this race. Social media, Hedaya will be close, duking with Dale and Eden, Addis-Skadarin. I don't think the outside horse maybe has that much speed. We'll give the chasing move, but will probably get a better flow in front of him than he did last time going a mile, and I think he's better than going 6 furlongs.
I agree with you. So you just went with the 7-8 in the final leg of the pick 4. I went to the 7-2 Hedaya, who is part of that early speed. Same angle that you don't like, I don't really like. A horse has been in form. Why change the situation?
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting move to go to the turf sprinting, and now has to come back to the dirt. So I'm not crazy about that type of move, but I do think that he's been in very good form on the dirt as of late. Whereas San Cristo, I thought faces a little bit of a more manageable field here today than what he has been facing.
Absolutely. A Whiskey Sour flying to be Childers. I mean, he's coming out of key races. He's been very, very wide, taking the overland route most of these races. But the turn back in distance and the speed in this race is going to enhance his run. I think Feargal and San Cristo could be dangerous. You're going to get a square price on that horse this afternoon.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for us here. Those races 1 through 10. Once again, we have that big carryover in the Super High 5, just shy of $8,500. That does kick off in today's opener with a 7-horse field. Expect that to be a very popular bet this afternoon. Thank you for joining us on Today at the Races, and best of luck if you're joining us.
Good luck.